All right, everybody, welcome to the Internet Sports Broadcast Network. And four friends like to sit around and talk sports. We just have fun. We've got Donovan Hughes, Smooth, Dave, Todd, Frank, who's usually on, is out tonight working on some business, and yours truly, Hurdy Burt. So, guys, welcome and hope you guys are having a great week.
Yes, sir.
And Smooth, man, I know we got some guests for next week. Tonight we're going to talk about The Last Dance. And Donovan missed that show with us the week before. But Donovan, we had, and Dave, why don't you fill in who we had and why we're talking about The Last Dance to start the show tonight?
Yeah, we had on a director of security, James Campbell, was on and gave us a little behind the scenes, what was going on during that time, and talking a little bit about the people and so forth, and some of the things that we've seen thus far, in the show and what we'll see coming up. So that was pretty neat, and it was kind of neat. It was kind of neat. You remember, Hurdy, what he talked about Jordan had his own office in the locker room. You saw that in the episode this past weekend.
Yeah, wasn't that cool?
He was sitting there. He was sitting there handing out tickets to other players.
Right, and they were coming in and begging him, and he'd say, "Well, I got one for you and one for you."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
the Godfather.
Now, did I see our friend that was on last week? Did I see him a lot more on this? Did I see him?
I didn't see him as
I didn't see him as that much in this one. Okay.
Yeah, in 5 and 6. No.
Right.
But you'll see him a lot more in the next episodes.
Yeah, coming
up. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to know what y'all think of, get y'all's opinion on the series so far. I'll throw mine in at the end.
I think it's been amazing.
Yeah.
I lived it. When I say lived it, I wasn't in it, but I lived it, and it brought back so many memories and so many actual feelings, just like the whole Bad Boys and just transitioning into and I love the fact that it's showing the present in the time of 1998 and then The Last Dance, and then it goes back kind of showing why they're there, and how they got there and the things they were going through to get there. And I don't know, it's been a very well written documentary, the whole from top to bottom, and I like that they've shown things that aren't very appealing to certain players and head personnel to the organization.
Yeah. They showed the reality of what it's like to film every day, and put together a piece and try to be honest. That's the cool thing about it. And you still can't deny them the 6 championships. So regardless of how we talk about things, right, they're still got them. So I thought it was well done. Okay, Dave, Smooth, throw your 2 cents in, brother. You're from this place, man.
I was there.
Yeah.
I saw all of these, and some of the things that I've seen just rekindled memories that I've had throughout this series. And a couple takeaways as far as for me and looking at this series. One is Michael Jordan's drive to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen that throughout this series. And especially this past weekend, they were talking about the dream team.
Yep.
And it was almost, it's that saying, don't poke the bear.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of players learn that you don't poke the bear in MJ. Magic Johnson learned that on the Olympic team, when they were showing that practice.
The scrimmage.
He said, hey, we're beating them by 10 or 12 points. And they talking junk, man, and all of a sudden they poked the bear, and what happened? Michael brought his team back. They ended up winning by 4.
Yeah.
And then they get on the bus to go back to their facilities, and it's like nobody's saying anything. And then after a couple of minutes, man, the ice is broken, and everybody just busts out laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what Michael Jordan told Magic and Larry Bird, there's a new sheriff in town.
Sheriff in town.
Yeah.
And there was. I mean, there, without a doubt. And the funny thing, kind of I saw on the ticker last night, or maybe it was today. I don't remember, but I didn't realize that Jordan and Barkley of recent have kind of been sideways. I guess some comments that Barkley had made.
8 years.
I didn't realize it. Some
Yeah.
comments that Barkley had made about the way that Jordan was running the Chicago, or not Chicago, but the
Hornets?
Charlotte Hornet or
Yeah.
Charlotte, whatever they're
Bobcats.
called now. Bobcats. Yeah.
Bobcats, whatever.
Yeah. Whatever they're called now.
We're so good at sports, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well, I know it's in Charlotte.
I know it. Yeah, Charlotte somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know it's in North Carolina, but I'm just saying it's just kind of one of those. I didn't realize it was still going that long. And I guess it comes back to the competitive nature of Michael Jordan, where I guess other than him, owning a franchise like that or partial owner, I don't know if he's complete majority or whatever, but that's kind of the only thing he hasn't succeeded in pretty much since he was probably 16 years old.
Yeah, that's because he's not playing.
Yeah, right.
That's because he's on the sidelines. He can't get on the court and make them.
Right.
I mean that he's a good leader. He's a good leader. Well,
he is a majority owner of that team.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah, when he came in, he was a partial owner, and then he ended up buying out the majority owner. So he's definitely majority owner of that franchise now. So, but when you look back, him, Barkley, Tiger Woods, them guys were all very, very close friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I think with this situation with Barkley, not necessarily him criticizing his personnel decision making. I think it went a little bit further than that.
Yeah.
Because Charles is in the media. That's what he gets paid to do.
Right.
To state his opinion. But I think Charles made the statement about the people that Michael had around him, basically kissing butt. And that takes it a little bit. That takes it a little bit.
That
more
makes it personal. Yeah.
It's a little deeper.
The yes men. Yeah.
Yes. So that takes it a little bit deeper. So I think that's why
Charles had a few of those around him too.
Yeah. So I hate to see it. I hope that at some point that
because I like Charles. I like Charles.
Love him to death. So, but the other thing I saw in there in the series, again talking about Michael's desire and for greatness, after that scrimmage at the practice, then to go into the Olympics, and when they played Croatia, with Tony Kukoc,
they hammered him.
Exactly.
Oh God, they embarrassed him.
You guys guard everybody else. Me and Scotty got him.
Embarrassed him.
Yeah.
And that was just to send a message to management, who had been courting Kukoc to come play for the Bulls because they had his draft rights.
Right.
Said, let me show you. Let me show you this guy. If we shut him down, he ain't ready for the NBA.
I felt pretty bad for him, to be honest, because he
played a good second game, and they respected him after that. But the bottom line is they smoked him. They smoked him.
Just to send the message.
Right.
Who didn't they smoke though?
I mean, exactly. And that's what Jordan said. Jordan said, "My gosh, these teams don't have any idea. They're playing the best of the NBA players. They've never seen them before. They have no idea what they're getting into."
Even when you have, I would say probably a quarter of that 92 team, 92 team, right?
Right.
Yeah, that dream team. I mean, like Bird didn't even practice hardly. He was laid out because his back had the issue. I mean, there was half the roster was on the down.
Right.
They were just great for all-time greats, and for that. And then you got Christian Laettner sitting there.
Yeah.
Talking about the odd man out. Oh, my God.
No kidding.
And he's soaking it all in.
And he said, man, I just got out of everybody's way and I just did whatever they asked me to do. I mean, that's I mean,
yeah.
And Isaiah Thomas wasn't there, which I was a big Isaiah Thomas fan. I wasn't a Pistons fan, but I liked Isaiah Thomas growing up, and I thought he should have been there. But obviously, there was a lot of those that didn't.
That was going to be something I want to talk about. I forgot I forgot how, and I didn't forget about the incident, but I forgot how rude that was. They did that to the Bulls when the Bulls won that game and walked off the court after the Bulls had shook their hand after all the losses to them. And that animosity, I was really surprised that it's still going.
Yeah.
I mean, big time. I mean, Jordan did not forget about that. First thing he said was, look, he changed his story. He was mad.
Yeah.
You know, as mad as you can get, but still. Well, I was impressed, Dave, with Michael's leadership skills. The way he could talk to the guys at practice, you know, and get them motivated and get them going and never lose focus from game to game. Yeah. Just constantly on. And the stuff he could do with the basketball, has everybody forgotten those double, triple run around spins and throw it up and it goes in stuff and his jump shots? Amazing.
That get fouled, spin around and flick your wrist.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever been able to do that.
And his defense.
Yeah.
Right.
His jumping ability to block balls and start, you know, just be in the game from one end to the other all the time. Pretty amazing.
So, LeBron James is like a bigger version of Michael Jordan. I should say that.
Yep.
But the closest I would have to say is the Mamba, as far as being able to lock somebody down and be like Michael Jordan-esque on both sides of the court at the same time. It's insane. Both of them were incredibly good defensive players and, of course, phenomenal offensive players. But, I mean, Jordan won how many? 2 or 3 at least? 6?
How many championships did they win, Smooth?
Oh, 6, they won 6, yeah.
Yeah,
but how many defensive player of the year?
Oh, I don't know about that, but
they won like 3, I think.
Yeah, and plus best MVPs were out unbelievable. Yeah. I was going to say the next basketball team that wins 6 championships, okay, we'll give them credit for somebody.
Yeah.
I just don't see that happening in the NBA.
No.
Anymore.
No, and to your point,
because of the trades and people leaving and you know and everything. So
right, and when you look at it, you know, the beauty of this is seeing that Michael didn't put his teams together. You know, the team put the team together.
Yep.
And to your point, Herdy, about him motivating other players in practice, you know, some players might take offense to Michael pushing you to be your best. But guess what? You saw how it paid off, especially in that series against Phoenix when Paxson hit that 3-pointer that basically won the game for him.
Yeah. When they couldn't get it to him. Yeah.
And it was his trust in him because he drove to the basket.
Right.
Paxson's wide open. He flips the ball out. Paxson hits a 3-pointer. They win the game. So.
But if I'm not mistaken, Paxson was on fire that game too.
Yeah. Well, because they kept leaving him open.
But I'm just saying it wasn't like he was rocking them.
That's the other thing I noticed on the repeat videos of the games they showed was just how Michael Jordan influenced the defenses. Right. Mm-hmm. I noticed just about every single time he'd shoot or drive, there were 2 or 3 guys on him, and other people were so wide open. It just made him easy for him to dump off or get the Pippen or drop it off to Grant or somebody, right?
Yeah.
And just let him go crazy. Yeah.
That's right.
Am I wrong thinking that Jordan could have averaged 40 points a game if with the rules today? Because there's no hand checking now, and they used to call the Jordan rules when he used to get all the fouls. They used to foul the crap out of him, and I think he would have averaged 40 points a game in this.
Well, his agent said that he would average 50 to 60.
Well, I'm just saying I think his career when he was in his prime was like 32 points a game or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and that was during a very physical NBA. Nowadays, you're right, Donovan. If you add another, you figure he can get around people even easier if he's not hand checked and pushed and
4 or 5 more times a game.
At least 15 to 20 more a game, right?
I'm being liberal.
Conservative.
Conservative in saying maybe 10
40.
8 to 10 points.
Okay, so then that tells me something else. That tells me there's probably nobody compared to him, because who's doing that today? Nobody. Nobody. The only other person that might have done that in their prime, if he hadn't died, was Pete Maravich.
Yeah.
But Pete Maravich shot all the time. He was always like, what, 28% smooth. I mean, he shot like 60 times a game.
Yeah, and they didn't have the three when Pete.
They didn't have anybody, just him.
Yeah.
So anyhow, there's nobody else that would have scored the points he's scoring. He would have scored today.
Yeah. I would have liked to seen Len Bias in the NBA, and I don't know why that brought me back to that, but I think Len Bias would have been one of the all-time greats.
Yeah,
I remember watching him. If you remember him, but
well, the only guy that Michael reminds me of, it doesn't have near the motivation, but has the skill, was when Durant left Texas early and went to the pros and made an immediate impact. Mm-hmm. He was brilliant. He was brilliant. Yeah. But he just doesn't seem like he has that same motivation that Michael did. You know what I'm saying? But Durant was brilliant.
It's called killer instinct.
Could you imagine if Texas had him all 3 years?
Oh man,
they would have been a national champion. I really believe that.
Yeah, so. and Donovan, you made a good point about having killer instinct.
Yes.
During those times, during all those years when I was living in Chicago, watching all of this, there was not any way I saw any team that could beat the Bulls 4 out of 7 times to win a series. I just could not see that because that team was made to bounce back from losses, make adjustments, and do what they needed to do to win games.
And that was on. Yep. Go ahead.
Like that series with Phoenix. I was at that Game 5 in Chicago where they could have clinched and won their 3rd championship. Barkley went to his team and said, look,
they got to win. We got to win.
This city of Chicago that have already saying that we lost tonight because they start boarding up all their stores.
Right, for
the
celebration.
Looting and everything.
and that was riot.
And that was true. That was true because when I went to the game that night, I told my wife that I would not be home until sometime Saturday afternoon if the Bulls won. Because it was a Friday night game. I said, don't expect to see me this sometime Saturday afternoon because if they win, I'm staying out. I'm going to be out all night. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm not coming home. And Barkley wouldn't let it happen. He ruined my fun that night.
Yeah, he did.
He had an incredible game.
He did.
But it took every bit of their 110% effort to beat them that game, and then the Bulls came back and basically stomped them the next game. So there you go.
And then Michael went to the team and said, look, I don't know about y'all, but I'm only taking one suit with me.
That's right.
To wear to this next game.
That's right.
And then I'm coming home. And that's exactly what they did. They went and won their 3rd championship, came back home. So there's that killer instinct.
I think it's been an amazing documentary. I'm excited about the rest. There's more parts, right? Yeah, we got
there's 4 more. This weekend
parts.
is going to concentrate on his time away from the game in baseball.
Hey, so one more thing about that. Were you guys impressed, or did you get a different perspective of Dennis Rodman?
Oh man, absolutely.
No, I've seen a bunch of stuff on him. Nothing's been. I've always kind of been a fan of Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
Not some of his antics or whatever, but after I've watched a lot of documentaries with him, and he's been through a lot. I mean, as a person,
still is. Yeah. But here's the thing. The thing that I was surprised about was how close he was to the coach and how he trusted him.
Yeah.
And Michael too.
Right. Well,
and he was good, man. He was good for them.
Well, what I picked up on that I didn't really understand about him before this series was how much a student of the game he was.
Yes.
Knowing how he would sit and have people shoot the ball from different angles to watch how it would come off the rim for rebounding angles. That's amazing.
And sitting there in dressing room studying film a bunch.
Yes.
Right. So all laid back and learning the game.
Yeah.
So he took pride in it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I
So
was
he wasn't.
impressed with him as a player for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, that guy could party. Oh my goodness, that guy.
Well,
Still does
that whole
probably.
Yes.
that whole scene, I guess it was the week before.
He went to
I didn't get to
Vegas.
talk about it last week. Yeah, but that whole Vegas scene, and you gotta give Phil Jackson some props because
Yeah.
he's a player's coach,
Mm-hmm.
and
He
but
understood.
he understood. Michael, I don't think did to a certain extent at
We
the
got to go
time,
get him.
but yeah, he's like, yeah, we're gonna have to go.
We're gonna go get him.
Get him. I mean, he knows him. But the funny thing is, like with the whole team and with Phil Jackson, is he just seemed like he had the beat of the team,
Mm-hmm.
the heartbeat of the team, and he
Good
kind of
coach.
knew how to push buttons. Yeah, I mean, people say once they get to the pros, coaching is relevant on every level. I'm sorry, they can say what they want, but um, there's a reason why Phil Jackson's won 12 championships.
Yeah, I was going to
or
say.
10 championships.
I was going to say. How can you not deny that he's not a great coach when he did it with one organization and went and did it with another?
Yeah,
And I didn't realize
that's coaching. That's coaching.
I didn't realize he was an assistant coach for Doug Collins when he took over.
Yeah. Isn't that
I didn't
amazing?
realize that.
Yeah.
I did not realize that. That was one of those, oh, really kind of deals. Because I thought he was maybe being courted by the Bulls from Doug Collins. I remember when he left, but I didn't realize he was already in.
Yes. Yeah, he was already there.
That was, yeah.
I didn't realize there was there was a lot of animosity. I didn't realize there was that much animosity between Pippen and the general manager either.
Oh yeah, man.
And I think you guys in Chicago knew that, but we didn't see that. When we watched games, right?
Yeah, not just him.
He didn't get paid until Houston.
I understand.
But you know what?
And I don't blame him.
But here's the thing: the Bulls helped him get paid.
Right.
In Houston.
Right.
Because they did a sign and trade deal.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He would have went there for a lot less money had he just went on his own. So they helped him get his money. So
they should have.
That's something to remember. But speaking of Phil Jackson being a player's coach, he was very much in tune with every player. And so that's why you remember Scotty was hurt starting that season.
Yep.
And then when he eventually came back, Rodman was like, look, I've been kind of up in my game. I need a little bit of a break. That's when he went to Phil and said, hey, I need me a little vacation.
Right.
Just give me 48 hours, to go to Vegas. And what did Phil do? Hey, you got to tell Michael this. And he's like, what? He said, we ain't never going to see this guy. And he didn't show back up. Now, Michael didn't go to Vegas to get him. He was already back in Chicago.
Right.
He just didn't come to practice.
Right.
So they had to go across the street to his apartment
and get him
and wake him up.
Right.
And come on back. And so he was not a distraction on that team.
No.
He was not a distraction whatsoever.
No, he was not. My point was by having those air out sessions, the coach understood that. And what I was amazed about was I did not realize how close they really were.
Yeah. And you can see, if you remember and watching Phil Jackson coach, not only with the Bulls, but even when he got to the Lakers, and you could see some of that has rubbed off on Steve Kerr with the Warriors.
Oh, yeah.
When his team gets down early,
the
coach ain't calling a timeout. Hey, these players going to have to play through it.
Right.
They know what they need to do.
Right.
And he just lets them play. I'm not.
I think it's interesting, Smooth, that some of these players that have left and gone into coaching have had this very successful runs.
Mm-hmm.
They learned.
Yeah.
They learned a lot. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, okay, guys, I'm enjoying the heck out of it. We got to get to the draft a little bit because, football draft was fun. I enjoyed watching every single round. Did you guys watch it all?
I didn't get a chance to watch all of it.
Oh,
I watched some of it.
I watched the first round.
Did you watch the second round?
I watched a little bit of the second round.
Okay.
But nothing else.
I'll jump in here in the front, and then I'll let you guys that are the experts jump into this. But I'll tell you who benefited, which I had thought had no chance of benefiting, and that was the Cowboys.
Man, they knocked it out of the park.
They did, and I thought Kansas City, that already had an intact team, which had been talked about much, kind of knocked out of the park because they could pick and choose whoever they wanted, right? I thought Baltimore knocked it out of the park.
Baltimore did.
And they got that receiver from Texas who I can't believe
DeVernay
was still sitting there, and they got him. Amazing. And I think Tampa Bay helped themselves out in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, so some good
the
players,
Cowboys,
man.
CeeDee Lamb, who I thought was one or two of the best receivers out of college football. I mean, I got to watch him front and center with the Longhorns, and he can flat out go. I think his route running probably can use some work, but
they'll take care of that.
He's got good hands and
good speed.
He's a playmaker. I mean, he flat out can fly it, and I can't wait to see him with Dak Prescott and the supporting cast.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, you know, when they lost, Dave might chime in on this. Remember the year before they traded Cole Beasley to Buffalo, right? And remember last year, it seemed like they just couldn't get anything done on third downs. And remember, Cole Beasley was always that guy, could go across the middle and break away from people with his speed. I think Lamb can fill that spot quickly.
Yes,
especially with their downfield receiving core. Man, he'll kill them in the middle. He'll frustrate teams.
Yeah, and that's the thing now, because now you're opening up that offense a lot more.
Right.
You got Amari Cooper on one side.
Yeah.
You got CeeDee Lamb, and you still got Ezekiel Elliott. You know, they have a very potent offense.
And big tight ends, right?
Right there. Oh, yes. And so they're in great shape, you know, to put up some big numbers offensively, you know, and get the defense to play.
Right.
You know, there's a lot that could happen there with that organization now with a new coach in tow and see what happens.
Well, I tell you, Baltimore, as good as they were last year with Jackson and picking up some of the players they picked up, they're going to be tough. They're going to be really tough in their division, really tough. I thought they had a good draft, and I thought San Francisco had a good draft. I may be wrong, but you know, it was pretty amazing, pretty amazing. And I can't believe how long some of the talent lasted.
Yeah,
I know. It was. I watched quite a bit of the first round, and I think the craziest pick I saw was the Packers.
Oh yeah. What was that all about?
I could not. When that came up, I was like, if I was Aaron Rodgers, not the fact that they drafted somebody that is maybe a top 4 or 5 pick. I mean, when I say of the quarterbacks, but I mean, why didn't you put a piece where I could win?
They needed receivers.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
You know, the defense was good enough. They didn't need maybe they did need a quarterback, but not that guy. That's I don't know. Well, yeah, you're right, Dom, and that stumped everybody too. That was talked about for days after the draft, right? Let's talk about Green Bay.
So that could be for one or two reasons. Looking at the future, you know, here's a guy that can come in and learn from this great quarterback for a couple of years.
Right.
Or two, it was to send a message and motivate Aaron Rodgers, you know, coming into this year. So it could be a twofold message that was sent by making that pick. We'll see.
Well, you know, the other thing that surprised me was, and it probably not because I followed him, but you remember Auburn had a quarterback named Speckman. Remember that? He was number 11 before the year before last or 2 years before. Remember, they drafted him in New England. Okay, he's an accurate passer. He just needed to get a line in front of him. Well, New England didn't go after a quarterback, and they like this guy.
Right.
So they must see something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not to even draft a quarterback.
Yeah, maybe.
So, you know, I don't know. We'll see.
You know how Belichick is. You know, he keeps everything close to the vest. So
Right. Yeah, there could be something happen before that.
Sure.
So.
I mean, you know.
So Donovan,
Just
I was going to say Donovan Too Smooth had two players from Texas go, right? Jones and what's the guy's name?
Duvernay
Yeah,
and
Yeah,
Duvernay.
Colin
Duvernay.
Johnson that
Yeah,
got drafted too.
he
How
did
many? How
in the
many?
fifth round, I think, or
Right.
So
Yeah.
I mean, the Longhorns had some players drafted, but I mean, they're way off mark at this point. When you're having third,
Hey.
fourth, fifth rounders, I mean,
Hey Donovan, I was
What?
listening to some sports talk today on the Longhorns. Can you please
Uh-huh.
explain to me why all these announcers are making Texas like 10-1 every season before the season starts?
because they have the talent.
Well, I know, but why are they always saying they're going to be great? They're going to be great. They're going to be, you know. I know. Okay, I'm just asking you if you just think that they expect it, or they just want it so bad they just.
Well, so I follow recruiting pretty
Right.
close.
You do.
And the problem that I have and most people have is Texas has done less with more than a lot of teams. And when you and now granted recruiting rankings and all that stuff, these are kids that go out and they're at the Nike camps and they're at camps, right?
Right.
And that's how they build their 3, 4, 5-star status. Okay. At the end of the day, there are some kids, right, that are listed
Mhm.
at 2 or 3 stars that don't go to the camps, but you
Mhm.
see their film and you go, oh my goodness. Now, in the past, and I see a little bit of a trend changing right now with the new coaching staff that's just come on, because they've went after some 3 stars that I've seen their film that are amazing. That you go, why isn't that kid not a high 4-star or borderline 5-star? Because in the recruiting rankings with when it comes to college, a 5-star is supposed to make it to NFL. And that's kind of how it is. A high 4-star has about a 50% chance. Mid 4-star, it drops to like 24%. It goes down from there.
Yeah.
And they're ranking on at the talent level to get to the next level. Okay. And when you have your average as a mid 4-star to in that area, you should be producing, I don't know, probably 6 or 7, maybe 1 or 2 first rounders, a second, a third, 2/3, a fourth, and Texas hasn't done it.
Yeah.
And that's the talent when you get the talent on campus and you don't develop them, that's what happens. And I think we're seeing a change over because we actually had some people drafted this year.
Yeah.
I mean, last year I don't know if we had anybody. The year before that it was like one. I think there was one last year, 1 or 2 the year before. So it's starting to change over because we got, I think the evaluation of talent coming into the University of Texas is legit. Just because they have a star on their chest doesn't mean they're actually what they are. They went to a bunch of camps and showed out.
Well, I think they're going to improve.
I
I think they're going to be better, and I think the new coach will help them out. Smooth. So the Bears, how did they do?
They went and got a tight end early on in the draft, but their big pickup in the offseason was Nick Foles at quarterback.
Right.
He's going to push Trubisky.
He's going to be the starter. He'll be the starter.
He'll be the starter by
He'll be the starter. He'll be the starter.
Yeah,
game 3.
That could bode well for Chicago, because if they had any semblance of quarterback play last year, they probably would have won 3 to 4 more games last year.
I agree.
And made it to the playoffs. And so, Foles is going to give them that opportunity. So it'd be nice to see that. The other big surprise, we were talking about quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts going to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
To back up Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
That was weird to me.
Yes.
That's a totally different kind of quarterback that they have now. But I think they picked him up simply because he was there.
Yes. Yeah.
They looked at the roster and went, "Man, that's talent. We'll make something happen with him."
Oh, yeah. And Wentz's track record for injuries is not very good. So you want to get somebody in there that can come in and play. So it affords them an opportunity there. So that's nice. But tomorrow's a big day in the NFL. They schedule release tomorrow night.
Yeah, we'll get to see the schedule and talk about it next week, which is cool. Right.
Absolutely.
I'm anxious for us to get started with some sports.
Yes.
So I heard baseball may come back with 3 divisions, 10 teams in each division.
Yeah.
How weird is that?
Yeah, that'd be weird.
You know, I keep saying they should just pick up the schedule where they start.
Right.
You know, and just pick it up where it would be, and go from there, and just eliminate the rest of the games and go from there whenever they start. If it ends up being a 100-game season, so be it.
Yeah.
You know, just start where you start.
Well,
and I want to go boo the Houston Astros, so they better get started.
Hey, they land low right now.
I want to go harass them when they go to Arlington. I don't want to go see the new stadium. Darn it!
Take your time.
That's it, man.
The NBA's opening their doors Fridays.
Yes, they are for practice.
3 teams have already said they're opening up their facilities Friday. Cleveland, Portland, and Denver. And I think a couple more. The Rockets said they would wait till next week to open up. So, you know, we're getting closer.
Well, Smooth, at some point we got to live our lives.
Yes.
You know, we can't sit in forever and hope we don't get sick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, we got to go live.
Well,
you know, we do the best we can. We be careful. We be courteous. We obey the rules. I'm 65.
Yeah.
I sure as heck get it. But at some point you got to live too, you know?
Yes.
They need to get started.
Right.
NASCAR's coming back without fans. That'll be good. I haven't been paying much attention to e-racing. That's kind of boring. How was the horse game? Did you finish the rest of that?
I didn't really watch it. I saw,
Me neither.
I saw who won. It was who I predicted. You know, Steve's nephew won.
I understand. Right.
You know, he the only one with an indoor
He had the nice
gym.
court. Yeah.
He had the advantage. So he ended up winning that. So
that's right. Yeah. So Donovan, any thoughts on anything pro, college, anything at all you've been looking at in your spare time?
So one of the going back to the draft, that I would like to talk about, which when you come down to Henry Ruggs, and Judy, Jerry Judy. How did he go before Jerry Judy?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Because he showed out at the combine. He ran a crazy 4.27 or something. I don't remember what he ran.
Yeah,
something insane. And he didn't get as many touches. Obviously, a chance to showcase his talent like Jerry Judy. But how could you pick up? I mean, Jerry Judy was a sure pick for.
He's a beast.
A receiver.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe that he went before, but you know, Raiders are going to Raider in certain ways, and I couldn't believe that happened. Really that was like the biggest thing to me.
I can't believe how many people get drafted out of the SEC year after year.
I can.
LSU's basically the whole team. Alabama basically the whole team, and all those other players. What did they have? 48% of the total draft was SEC.
Yeah, it was.
Man, the whole first round was almost SEC.
I know. I mean, and you wonder why these kids want to go play at one of these schools.
Yeah.
Because they know they got a good chance of getting drafted.
You sprinkle in Ohio State. Yeah. Sprinkle in Ohio State and Clemson.
Right.
And, two or three other
Notre
schools,
Dame, Penn State, Oklahoma. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They all have one or outliers. Even TCU had a receiver.
Yeah.
Jalen Reagor drafted.
But he's good too,
he's very good. He's a speedster. Yeah.
I thought some of Baylor's guys going when they did, I thought those quarterbacks that stayed almost to the 4th or 5th round, Smooth Dave, were good quarterbacks that got picked late. I think some teams picked up some pretty good quarterbacks too late, right? There's some good talent.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's talent all over the place. But the key is getting the right talent in the right place. I want to go back to what you were saying about Philadelphia's pick, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
If I was Jalen Hurts, I would have been pissed.
Yeah.
Because he when you're drafted as high as he was, you should at least be. When I say considered, and I'm not saying he's not going to be considered, but considered a starting job, and that's not going to happen.
Right.
There, it's just not. So if you're wanting to, I mean, he went to Oklahoma because he wanted to be showcased as a quarterback, and he was.
He did fine.
He did, but that was like the last place.
Maybe they're going to use him. Maybe they're going to use him as a trade down the road.
Well, what sucks for him.
I know. And here's the other thing. I can't believe Winston got picked up before Cam. And I don't think Cam's been picked up yet, right? Cam Newton?
Don't. Yes, he landed somewhere.
No,
he's
not.
He has not.
He's still out there, and he's being picky because he said he's not going anywhere to be a backup.
Well, that's
that's why he hasn't been picked. Okay.
That's why he hasn't been picked up.
Enjoy the bench. I hope the pine doesn't
wait
your
till somebody gets hurt.
So speaking of Winston, Jameis Winston, did y'all hear about his eyesight problem?
No.
So he was on a podcast and an interview and said that he just had LASIK done.
Ooh.
And so he went to the Saints, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, because he said he was really excited to learn from Drew Brees. And they were talking, and he said, well, what's changed? He said, well, I can see a lot better now. He said, I didn't realize, how bad my eyesight was until I got LASIK done. He said, I can read, and this is his quote. I'm not looking at a computer or anything, but I'm paraphrasing his quote. He said, I can see license plate numbers now, and certain things I didn't realize I was missing.
But can you see linebackers?
Well, for a quarterback, isn't that everything?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's my point. Can you see linebackers and corners and defenses?
I mean, he might have been the best quarterback in the last 3 years if he had good eyesight.
I'm saying there might be something to that that'll shake out. We'll know. Yeah. We'll know sooner or later.
So Donovan, question is, I blame management and I blame coaches. Because if this guy's been throwing all these interceptions, why were those questions not asked? Hey, send him to the eye doctor. Let's get his eyes checked out.
Right.
Man, if somebody's squinting, that's because they can't see, right?
Right.
We had a quarterback on campus. I'm not gonna say who it was, but they used to make fun of him because he was squinting all the time. Come to find out, he had an eye problem.
Right.
And I'm not gonna say who it was, but
that's fine.
I had issues with the whole thing because I couldn't believe he threw a lot of interceptions.
Yeah.
It's like you couldn't see that cat running with that guy.
There is one sport where they discover that fairly fast. It's called baseball.
Yeah.
Because that's the first thing they check is your eyes to see how they're doing. Because it's a game that requires eyesight. Yeah.
You didn't see that double coverage? I mean,
you didn't see that linebacker? Oh, come on, man.
Lord. Yeah.
He was wearing a red jersey. Forgot. Oh, that was my guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's strictly on management and coaching.
Yeah, I agree.
Not addressing that early
comes back to coaching, right?
I agree with that 100%.
Absolutely.
So, guys, fun stuff, man.
Yep.
Yes,
I enjoyed it.
Always good to have you experts talking, doing your research and coming on and talking about this. And next week, Smooth, we'll get our buddy back that you talked about and tell Donovan who you think it is. You want to tell him now or you just want to hold off?
Well, I want to confirm with him first.
Confirming. Okay, that's fine.
Baker Mayfield, right?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, how did Cleveland do? do?
Yeah.
I don't think I don't even know that nobody said anything about him, so it must not have been too good.
How did Cleveland do? Baker Mayfield,
Yeah.
We forgot to bring him up.
Well, that's who I figured we were going to have, so I could have my time.
You've been abused enough.
Yeah.
You've been abused enough.
So Dave, who's up next week?
Well, we can't say yet because we got to confirm it.
Yeah.
All right.
So we'll send you an email and tell you who we think it's going to be. How's that?
Former NFL player.
Awesome.
University of Alabama. I'll tell you enough.
Sir. Yeah. In fact, he just got his master's from Alabama.
So there you
last
go.
Week.
So that's all we're gonna say.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate everybody listening to the Internet Sports Broadcast Network. Smooth Dave, Donovan Hughes, Hurdy Burke, Todd will be back next week. You guys have a great evening, okay?
Peace. Y'all be safe.
All right. Peace. Bye.